Now let's move on to the other chart categories. We've got the donut first. So this particular chart is used to display the contribution of a value to the total, and it's just like a pie chart. The difference being it has a hole in the middle and it can have multiple series of data in the same graph. So over here I've got 5 companies and all of these companies have two products, product A, B and product B, C. I've got their corresponding profits also. I just want to plot the profits for each of them in a donut chart. So let's start with that. I'll go to insert, recommended charts, all charts. I'll go to pie, and in pie I've got donut. I'll select on donut. It will give me two options over here, profit from AB, profit from BC, but this one is more suitable to what I want right now. So I'll click on it and I'll click on OK. So how to read this chart? First of all, let me put the legend on the top. Legend on top, and I'll add data labels also. Okay. So let me just zoom in a bit. So over here, what it is showing me is that for company S1, profit from BC was $5,000, whereas profit from AB was $12,540. If you look at it, $5,000 as a contribution to the outer pie is small, whereas if you look at it, the contribution of $12,540 from the inner pie is quite significant. And as you can see from the data also, uh, company S1 has more profit from AB, company S2 has more profit from AB, company S3 also has the same thing. It's just that the company S5 is one which has less profit from AB, whereas it has more profit from BC, which can be seen over here also. S5 is represented by light blue. So from BC it has got a large pie over here, and from AB it has got just this small section over here, 2000 pounds. So this is just a donut chart. It's not used that often. When you've got multiple series, you can use them, but it just gets a bit messier. Let's look at the next graph, which is the radar. Again, this chart displays values relative to a center point. It has a separate axis for each category, which extends from the center of the chart to the border. Again, I'm taking the same example over here. Insert. Let's just do a radar chart. Let's just zoom in a bit. So this is the scale which is being shown over here. So this is the profit from AB and this is a profit from BC. The scale is from 0 onward. As we keep on coming outside or away from the center, the numbers will keep on increasing. So for S1 it is showing over here $12,540, whereas from BC for S5 it is showing around $10,000, which is somewhere around here. There are different options within this also. So I've got this radar with markers, just adds markers similar to line with markers, and we've got fill radar. It just colors the area. So that's about it. Let's move on to the surface graph. I'll again select this surface. Now this shows trends in values across 2 dimensions and in a sort of a continuous curve. For using surface charts, we need at least 2 data series. So what this is showing me is profit from AB and profit from BC. So the different colors over here are implying the different ranges of profits. So if it is blue, it is $0 to $2,000. If it's amber, it's between $2,000 and $4,000. Then gray, $4,000 to $6,000, and so on. Then we have the bubbles. Now, this is again similar to a scatter plot, but a scatter plot looks at two variables only, whereas a bubble chart looks at three. And the third variable defines the size of the variable. So over here, I've got age, salary, and sales. And if we want to see a correlation between the three variables, we can clearly see with this particular graph. Let's see how it works. So I'll go to XY scatter plot. Over here I've got this bubble chart. Within the bubble chart also I've got two options. If I look at this one, this won't give me much idea, but the second one is more interesting to me over here. If I click on OK, let me just delete these lines. Now this is the age, this is the salary, and the size of the bubbles is the sales. So now what I want you to do is take a couple of moments, think about what we can interpret from here, and then if there is something which I'm missing, let me know. So over here, one thing is very clear, that is with the increase in age, the salary is also increasing. But the other thing which is also sort of clear is that as we keep on increasing the age, and the salary definitely keeps on increasing, but the circle size, which is representing the sales over here, that is also increasing. So, which sort of tells me that with age, a person is able to make more sales, probably because of his experience, and that then leads to a higher salary. Now, moving on to the stocks, I've got stock information for five stocks. I've got the volume which was sold, what was the share price when it was opened on the day, how high it went, what was the low price, and at what price it closed. In the stocks graphs also there are like four types of different graphs we have. So let's look at the first one. Recommended charts, all charts, got the stock. The first one is the high low close. Now for this particular graph we'll need three types of data. One is the high, then the second is the low, and then the third is the close, which I've already got over here. So let me just select this, go to recommended charts, all charts, and then we'll go to stock, and I'll click on OK. I'll zoom in a bit. So what it shows is that, okay, I've got these stocks. Uh, for stock B, let's say the closing point was 235.26. The lowest point for this stock was 161.06. Now, what I want you to do is take a couple of minutes and think about what is being shown or what can be interpreted from this chart. Right. So one of the things is that though chart B has a really high stock price, but it has a lot of variability also, which can be seen from the data also. The high was at 237 and within the same day it went to a low of 161 also. So that is quite higher difference. Whereas the difference is slightly on the lower side when we talk about stock E over here. Right, now let's move on to the second type of stock. This will be looking at the open, close, high and low price. Let me just select the data first. So over here again, this sort of gives me a block. So just on the top of this bar, we've got the high point. Then we've got the bar which sort of represents the open. Then the lower end sort of suggests the low of that day. The third type looks at the volume which was also traded on. So let's select this. So what this is doing is it is plotting the volume on vertical axis, and it is plotting the stock prices of high, low or close on the secondary vertical axis. I'll just remove these lines. So again, as I said, for stock A, 500 sold on day one. For stock B, 100 sold. But maybe because the stock prices are quite high and there was a lot of variability. The last of these is volume, open, high, low, close. So it looks at all of them. Let me just change, select data. So yeah, again, volume on vertical axis and we've got prices on the y axis.